Are you someone who struggles to make decisions? Does it feel like you're constantly trying to figure out the right choice and you're afraid you're going to make the wrong one? I totally get you, and I want to unpack this today. Before we get into it, I'm Suki Baxter, and I help you to rewire yourself for greater health, happiness, and success. And if you're ready to break free from the cycle of anxiety and live a life that is aligned with your true core self, then you are in the right place. Okay, so let's talk about indecision and anxiety. And I don't know if you've seen this show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's called The Good Place. And the premise of The Good Place is that these people have passed from life and they've arrived at the good place. There's all these twists and turns. I won't spoil the plot for you, but there is a character named Chidi, and Chidi is the most indecisive person. And that's kind of his charm, but also what's annoying about him in this show. He struggles to make even the simplest decision, right? When he's faced with, should I have a blueberry muffin or a poppy seed muffin? Like he can't make a decision because he's thinking about all of the implications of, well, if I choose blueberries, then I'm supporting blueberry farmers and there's an environmental impact. And I mean, it just like he gets into the nitty gritty details of every decision. It's just super hard. And he's always super anxious and he's always saying, my stomach hurts. And he's always afraid of making the wrong choice. And the anxiety it's not eating him alive because technically the character is dead, but it's eating at him, right? It's not a fun place to be. And in this place, the common thing that people do, the common thing that I see my clients do is to ask other people for advice. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, right? We all want to bounce ideas off of other people and get an outside perspective. And this is super helpful because none of us can really see our own patterns. We can't stand outside of ourselves and really see the situation from an outsider's perspective. However, when you're anxious and you're constantly asking people outside of you for advice and following that advice, one of the dark sides or the downsides of that is that you can lose your self-trust. You can lose your ability to be to be self-navigated, right? So you lose the connection with your own internal intrinsic wisdom. And anxiety really does this to us. It makes us question our own assumptions, question our own decisions, and just be awash in self-doubt. So when you're constantly seeking advice from others, you lose trust in your own self-judgment. And then it's so easy to feel confused and lost. And then it feels like you're not really living your life based on what you want. There's no confidence in your direction. Making confident decisions isn't about having the right information. That's part of it, of course. You need to know things, and researching things and having all the facts is super helpful. But equally as important is having that connection to your own intrinsic wisdom, to your internal compass. And that's really hard when you are dealing with chronic underlying anxiety that's shaping your whole life and shaping your decisions, because that anxiety is actually going to drive you to make decisions from a fear-based place, which means that it's so easy to second guess and self-doubt and feel confused and lost. And of course, to keep asking for advice from others, which while helpful, can also potentially put you on a path that would be right for them, but maybe isn't necessarily aligned with what you want. So what's really important is not so much to become fearless, which is so much of what is talked about in a lot of personal development circles, is this sort of cheering yourself along and really using affirmations and thought-based methods to tell yourself, I've got this, I'm confident, I believe in myself. Of course, that stuff can be beneficial. But when that underlying anxiety is living in your body, it's essential that we address that so that you can make decisions from a calm and centered place. The truth is that becoming confident and self-assured and more aligned with your true values is really a process of becoming more embodied, getting to know your body-based wisdom. So much of what drives our perspectives and our behavior lives in our body. Learning to be in harmony and in a good relationship with that embodied experience is the key to more self trust. Like I said, it's not about becoming fearless, it's not about eliminating all self doubt. It's about learning your own internal compass, your own navigation system, so that making decisions doesn't become this massive, monumental challenge every time you need to decide between a blueberry muffin and a poppy seed one, for example. I personally have found, and I've seen this for my clients as well, that when we release stress and trauma at the body level, so we bring the nervous system into greater regulation, the decisions that I'm able to make, and like I said, I see this for my clients as well. The decisions that are made are coming from a calm, centered, and grounded place rather than feeling frantic and full of fear and stress and a lot of pressure. And of course, you can imagine that when you're making decisions for yourself from this calm and centered and grounded place, you're going to make decisions that are much more in alignment with your true core self, with your own values, with what you truly want for your life. This is the difference between moving away from fear and moving towards something that brings you pleasure and enjoyment in your life, being intrinsically motivated, doing something purely for the enjoyment of doing that thing. And I will say that so much of our culture is structured around doing things that are really hard. And amazingly, you don't have to flog yourself through things that are hard when you align yourself with your values. I know that I work extremely hard to do things in my life that I want to do. And I've heard from people um, who are observing me doing these things, and I'm thinking mostly about my horses. I work extremely hard with my horses. And this is emotional work, it's physical work. Um, it costs me a lot in a lot of areas of my life to be with my horses and to have that experience of owning and training and riding and all of the things that come with being an equestrian. And all of that hard work to me does not feel like hard work because it is aligned with my true core self and my desires in life. So it's amazing how hard we will work for something when it is aligned. And we can take that need to sort of have willpower driving us, have grit driving us, all that tension that comes, whether it's emotional, mental tension, or physical tension, or usually some combination thereof when we think we need to work really hard to achieve a thing, right? So, all of this to say that when your decisions are coming from that calm, centered, regulated state, and they are aligned with your true core self, you are much more likely to be on a path towards a life that is satisfying and fulfilling, and one where the hard work that you are doing, because there is hard work in life, doesn't feel um, depleting to you. It feels it will obviously take resources. It will take energy from you. You know, you have work takes things, it takes effort. But there's a difference between working really hard and feeling depleted and working really hard and feeling satisfied by it. So the work that I do to bring my clients to this place is, like I said, it is body based. It is working towards reducing or relieving stress and trauma that are stored in the nervous system to bring that nervous system into a more regulated state to allow you to make those calm, centered decisions. If this is something that's interesting to you and you'd like to learn more, then I definitely invite you to click the link below, and I would love to help you take that next step.